Hey friends, how's it going? It's Erin with What a Witch Knows. I'm here to do a tarot read for y'all. Just because I haven't tapped into the general energy with a long form tarot read in a while. There's been so much going on in the astrology, right? There's been the Saturn Neptune conjunction, new chapter, new book. There's been an eclipse, there's another one coming up. I honestly have been pulling so many major arcanas on the pre-shuffle. I think every single card that I pulled in, it was a lot of them, were all major arcanas. So for y'all that don't know, the tarot is divided into the minor arcana and the major arcana. The minor arcana, you can sort of relate them to the suits in the regular deck of cards. They're sort of like things that are going on in your everyday life. The major arcana, like the lovers and the emperor here on the bottom of the deck, are power players. They're like when really big energy is happening, really big stuff is going down. These are the cards that come out, especially if you start to see them all together as opposed to just like interspersed throughout the reading. If you start to see them all come up, like so you have an initial 6 card spread, say, and like 5 or 6 of them are all majors. Yeah, the lovers came back out, so we're just going to stop here and talk about that. Um, it's big energy, guys. It's big energy. The lovers is all about balance. It's about connecting that masculine and feminine side of ourselves. And I think my cat has the zoomies right now. I don't know if you just heard that. He was literally taking a nap, and then like the second I go to do this reading, the energy running through him just like and he's like all over the house. So I think that probably is a sign that we have really big energy moving through the space, my space right now, moving through the animals, our animal friends, moving through the planets, moving through these cards right now. Okay, so we had the lovers come out. The lovers, like I was talking about, is all about balance. But what's so interesting to me about the lovers, and I wish I could find the, is it here? Stop it. I was gonna say that the lovers is the flip opposite side of the devil. And I was like, I'm not going to be able to find the devil magically to show these guys, how similar these two cards are. And the fucking devil was like right at the top of my deck. It doesn't even freak me out anymore, guys. Honestly, it doesn't because it's all synchronicity. It just means that you're in the flow of spirit, flow of the universe, that you're in that conversation. You're talking to spirit, spirit is talking back to you, and stuff like that happens. That's what that means. It's not a coincidence. Um, I'll link my video below about synchronicities if you want to check that out. Anyway, so what you can see here is that like these two cards are super similar, but one is shadow and one is light. So in the lovers over here, we've sort of successfully managed to balance our inner masculine and feminine energies. And because of that, we're able to express in a balanced way in an exterior relationship. And then, it doesn't matter the gender expression, we all have both inside us. So, and then over here, when you have the devil, that talks about toxicity, that talks about showing up in our toxic masculine or our toxic feminine. It can also talk about restrictions, like having restrictions, like fear, like anxiety, like ego, things that come from the social matrix that don't come from spirit, but that come from social programming, things that we've been taught since birth, like I should be this way, I should do this, I should, act this way in a relationship because otherwise I won't be loved or I won't be accepted. So they're just kind of two different sides of the same coin. And when you're sort of working with spirit, a lot of the time you start to see a lot of these different expressions of the same archetype come up. So the shadow expression of the archetype and the light expression of the archetype. This happens with planets, it happens with tarot cards, it happens with all sorts of stuff. So it's just really interesting to see those two come up. Let's keep shuffling. Okay, another major. It's the Hermit. The Hermit is all about, well, hermiting, going into hermit mode, taking that time to really go into your own energy. I think for a lot of us, like that's how we sort of go from the toxicity of the devil to the balance and the healed nature of the lovers is by going inside, learning that everything you need is within you and your connection to spirit, that you don't need to find love and acceptance and validation in other people because you have that all available to you without that. So once you sort of heal that, then you can show up in relationships in that healed lover's energy. Ooh, lots of energy though. I'm really feeling it. I'm feeling like out of breath. We have the Ten of Cups come up, which is a beautiful card. It's another card about balance. You know, you have sort of a happy couple here and their children running around. It's a lot about wish fulfillment. It's a lot about just feeling that interior sense of strength and abundance and not needing to keep searching, keep looking, keep feeding that need. You know, you're scrolling, doom scrolling, you know, whatever that sort of like insatiable need is, you don't have that anymore because that's been fulfilled when you're in the Ten of Cups energy. So I'm reading that as similar to the Lover's energy. And yeah, then we have the Eight of Pentacles after that, which is all about hard work. It does take work. I mean, it takes shadow work. It takes being in that Hermit energy, sitting with your own energy, you know, kind of turning yourself into your own research project and being like, why do I do XYZ? Why do I show up this way? Why am I triggered when this person says this? I'll shout out Thais Gibson and the Personal Development School. If you're interested in doing any kind of personal development stuff or shadow work or attachment theory stuff, she's awesome. I've done many of her courses and I just can't recommend her enough. If you just Google Personal Development School, you'll find her courses. Okay, we're gonna switch decks because I think, just as I said that, Mr. Hierophant comes out, the teacher. So yeah, the Hierophant is sort of the teacher mentor of the tarot. I mean, he can also represent institutional knowledge, traditional knowledge, but in whatever way he shows up for you and your interpretation, he's someone who has knowledge to share. And I think ultimately he points us back to ourselves, right? Like he is the type of exterior resource that you would go to for knowledge, like a school or, you know, a religion or something like that. But ultimately, he's saying, hey, you know, you have those answers inside yourself as long as you know, have the right guidance and the right people to show you how to sit with that and how to sit with yourself and your own emotions. It's interesting that I said emotions. I'm not sure why I said that. That energy hasn't come up in the cards yet. Although we do have the Page of Cups on the bottom of the deck, which can represent emotions. I do think sometimes emotions are sort of maps. They can map us on our journey to where the healing needs to be. So if we have a particularly strong emotion come up and it seems a little bit like out of place, like, hey, that's weird. Why do I feel really agitated right now when XYZ just happened? Or, you know, why am I feeling really tearful right now when you know, another thing happened? It's just helpful. You know, first of all, definitely feel your emotions, honor them, allow yourself to feel them. But at the same time, it's important to regulate those emotions, right? So you're not acting from a place of unconsciousness, but you're acting from a place of consciousness. So allow yourself to witness those emotions. You can kind of watch them going by on a screen, almost like you're watching a movie, and just try to understand why they're there, ask them questions, treat them like a guest in your home, invite them to tea, ask them, you know, what they're doing there, what they're trying to teach you. And in that way, your emotions can kind of be your teachers. It's a long process though, and it's not an easy process. I'm going to switch decks. We have Eight of Pentacles again, which came up again. It is hard work. Like, it's hard work to do that. It's kind of a life's work. You never really stop doing it. The Hanged Woman came out, and that's interesting because I saw the Hanged Man in the bottom of the deck here on my other Rider-Waite as well. So the Hanged Man or Hanged Woman in this deck can be about being in that state of not knowing what's going to happen next, which I think is where we all are at right now. We know that we closed out a big chapter. We know that we're starting a new chapter. But at the same time, it can be really scary because we have no idea what that new chapter is going to be like. And we have to just kind of sit in that unknowing void, which can be scary. But I mean, that the Hanged Man is somebody who is okay with that energy, or Hanged Woman. Either or, they're totally fine with being still, which can be really difficult in our society and our culture because we're geared towards movement. And we're also geared towards the intellect. So needing to get more knowledge, needing to pull more things towards us, or needing to run, 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 move, move, move all the time. Um, I Okay, so I just pulled out my archetypes deck and I'm laughing because the maiden came out, and this card is non-stop for me. It does not stop coming out. Anytime I pull the archetypes deck, the maiden card comes out. It's the first in the trio of maiden, mother, and crone. And it's sort of that phase of your life where you're just beginning a brand new journey and you really don't have any idea what's going to come next, but you're excited for the journey, but you also have mentors. Especially the crone is a mentor. You have mentors and resources outside, that are available to you to help you. So that's the maiden. To tell you the truth, I am a little befuddled by this card and by how often it comes out. I feel oftentimes when this card comes out, it's like there's something the universe is trying to tell me, because it comes out with such freaky, the amount of times that it comes out is just all the time. So when it comes out, it's almost like the universe is trying to tell me something and I'm just not sure what it is. So I wonder if a lot of y'all are in that same position. Like, you can feel that you're in the flow, you can feel the universe talking to you, you can feel your intuition talking to you, but it's almost like there's a little bit of confusion, or there's a block around it and you're not totally sure exactly what that message is. So I think it's interesting that it came out after the Hanged Woman. That might be an invitation into stillness. I know for me, I've been really struggling with that recently, like trying to find even 5 minutes in the day that I normally do to be still, to, oftentimes I'll channel with automatic writing, or even just to meditate a little bit to try to get some distance from my thoughts and just sort of let them float by. For whatever reason, there's been so much happening right now that it's been really difficult to find that stillness. So if there is a message that the universe is trying to give you and you're not sure what it is, I think the invitation here is to sit in stillness, even if you can just do that for 5 minutes a day. And I think that's a message for me too. So that's an invite. I'm going to do that with y'all. I'm going to really, really try hard to focus more on stillness every day. And I think that's going to really open up our channels, open up our third eye, and help clear that block and let those messages flow through. So if you're willing to open up to that and you want to try practicing more stillness every day, drop it in the comments. Let me know. And we can definitely support each other in doing that, because I know how hard it is. It's hard. Let's see what else we have for archetypes. Yeah, it's the mirror. It's so funny. Do you know how, like, on Threads or some of those other social media posts where they'll post a picture and it's just one person staring at the camera, and they'll be like, oh, it's just two baddies staring at each other. You know what I mean? Like, it's like you on the other side of the screen, like you're the baddie staring back, and like I'm the baddie on this side and you're the baddie on that side. That's kind of the image that I got in my head from this mirror card. I feel like, we're connecting through this crazy algorithm, however you found me. Like, we are connecting through the magic of spirit, through the magic of social media, through the magic of just this crazy world that we manage to find ourselves in. And I think, when I was talking earlier about that invitation into stillness, I think community is one way that we can really all support each other in focusing on things like that are difficult, things that we're trying, goals that we're trying to achieve, but for whatever reason we can't get there because there's a block. Working on those types of goals together, I think, is so important. And I think that's going to be, especially now in the era of Pluto and Aquarius, which is all about the power moving back to the people and creating these new communities, creating these new networks on the ground. We're not, we can't even think about governments anymore because they're just failing and not working. So it's really up to us to create our own communities now. And I think we can also do that in a way where we're now actually really supporting each other, where it's like a mutual aid situation as opposed to the old structures of government that are just built on oppression and corruption and exploitation. Well, now that they're failing, we have the opportunity to create something new in their place and really actually make community and government and things like that work for the people as opposed to not. And it's really amazing to see what's going on in New York City right now, with Mom Donnie, and just how amazing. New York, I lived there for for many years until I got priced out. But it's amazing to see what Mom Donnie's been able to do, on a political level, but also just on a community building level, and also on a level of bringing that hope back to the community, that it's possible to have a successful community run on love and run on care and run on mutual aid. We actually don't need to be bought out by super PACs and people with special interests and, people who just want to exploit workers. We don't need to function that way. There is a better way. And I think what Mom Donnie is doing is showing us that it actually is effective. Like free childcare, it actually works. And why aren't we doing that? You know what I mean? So I think it's just sort of like an injection of hope, and it might be a small case study, but that's how progress starts, right? It starts small, and then people start to replicate it all over, and then it turns into a national thing. So I think that's the invitation for us to like start supporting each other, start building these networks of mutual aid, and eventually we're going to have something really amazing that we can work with that's going to be worldwide. So anyway, guys, I'm going to leave it there, but I just wanted to say thank you so much for joining me here. If you watched this far, just thank you. Thank you for being part of the community. I love making these videos for you guys, and it's been really cool to get to know some of you in the comments. So I definitely, if you're on this journey with me and you want to share more about that, I'd love to know more about who you are and where you're at in your spiritual journey. So definitely drop that in the comments. If you haven't subscribed, I would love to have you subscribe and join the community as well. So I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye.